Thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. It is great to be with everyone today. It is early morning here in California, and certainly great to have a chance to spend a few minutes with the Kannaway family. Certainly, if you'd like to start my slides, that's great, Jills, and we can get going here. So for those of you who are new and don't know me, my name is Dr. Stuart Titus. I am currently a consultant for Kannaway. I have been with Kannaway's parent company, Medical Marijuana Inc., since its inception back in March of 2009, when we were America's first publicly traded cannabis company. And if we can go to the next slide, please. And I've been a PhD physiotherapist since 1990, had a wonderful career based in the Carolinas here. And I was seeing many sport athlete patients using cannabis to help decrease inflammation, help control with pain, sleep with assist with sleep issues during my practice. And I saw enough of this to the point I got very interested in if there was any real science behind these athletes' use of cannabis, because certainly this is something that was career threatening for them. And of course, they could have got on the opioid pill mill and the rest, but they chose something more natural. And so my first medical cannabis symposium in 2004, which totally opened my eyes to a whole new world about the intrigue and the aspects of cannabis being used as a medicine. And our next slide, please. So Cannabidiol was actually discovered in 1940 by Dr. Roger Adams, and his work led to a patent, a U.S. government patent, on the isolation of cannabidiol from what Dr. Adams called a red hemp oil, and that was awarded in December of 1942. And next slide, please. THC was discovered in 1964. THC, of course, is a psychoactive compound found in cannabis, the marijuana forms of cannabis. This was again discovered by Dr. Raphael McCoolum, an Israeli researcher, and Dr. McCoolum was using the aid of a nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy piece of equipment that was fairly new at the time, but allowed him to determine the chemical structure of THC. And of course, he was able to then confirm Dr. Adams' work regarding the chemical structure of CBD. And our next slide, please. Now, CBD actually became known as the hippie's disappointment, as in the 1960s, when cannabis was gaining significant popularity as a party drug, CBD became known as the hippie's disappointment, as it countered the high from marijuana. At the time, CBD was thought to be worse than worthless. So our next slide, please. In 1988, we had this amazing discovery of the internal endogenous cannabinoid system. This system includes receptor sites throughout our bodies, gave us an entirely new look at cannabis and its potential use to help improve people's overall levels of health and wellness. Certainly, this discovery has led to increased interest in cannabis by the scientific research community. Next slide, please. In 2011, a bunch of us entrepreneurs from Southern California really changed the game in terms of CBD. We believe that the scant amount of research that was done at the time supported tremendous health benefits of the non-psychoactive part of the cannabis and hemp family known as cannabidiol. So our initial hemp crop was harvested by European farmers during the summer of 2011. Later that year, we dried and extracted our first CBD-rich hemp oil. And our next slide, please. So our first nutraceutical CBD products were available in the spring of 2012. And this is after we brought our CBD-rich hemp oil from Europe over to the US, did our final formulations, et cetera. That was our belief at the time that 50 milligrams of CBD daily for an adult would adequately supplement the function of the endocannabinoid system. And certainly soon thereafter, many anecdotal stories kept floating into our home office about people recapturing fabulous levels of health and wellness by using our products. Next slide, please. So in 2014, I should mention that we were the first CBD medically prescribed anywhere in the world. And this was in the government of Brazil in 2014, which had seen tremendous benefit with one of the children in the country for treating epileptic seizures, when many of the medicines that that child had been previously on were not working and not effective. So our first ever sale of medically prescribed CBD was 4 years ahead of the US FDA approval of now the drug form of CBD known as Epidiolex. Currently today, our group in Brazil treats about 3,500 epilepsy families and their unfortunate epileptic children. Many of these children have gone from 6, 8, 12 different medications before taking CBD. Now they're down to just 1 or 2 meds plus their CBD. Next slide, please. In April of 2014, we also had another first as Kannaway launched. And certainly this was our vision for the future of CBD, and we expanded this by the basic door-to-door, belly-to-belly network marketing and direct sales concept. So we were the first company ever to sell CBD via this sales channel. Next slide, please. Now, initially, Kannaway had some issues in the United States in particular in terms of our banking, merchant processing, et cetera. At the time, CBD, hemp, cannabis, marijuana, all lumped into one and was federally illegal. And thus we had a very difficult time paying people on time. We had a very difficult time with any kind of banking, merchant processing, et cetera. But by grit and determination, we overcame those challenges. And now hemp has actually been reapproved in the United States for the first time in 83 years as an agricultural crop. CBD has been totally descheduled and made totally separate from marijuana and is non-scheduled here in the United States. And by 2016, we've recovered enough of our banking issues to then launch Kannaway 2.0. Next slide, please. In the fall of 2017, we launched Kannaway into the European community. Certainly this has been a great first for us, being able to sell products throughout the European Union. We've had many challenges over the years with a great number of countries and their health ministers, et cetera, but certainly being able to launch our THC-free products in the European Union, which then allowed us to sell throughout most of the European Union, certainly was a great first for us at that time. Next slide, please. And of course, in 2019, we had a wonderful year. We've had about $50 million US worth of sales just in the European community. But the unfortunate COVID pandemic had really hurt a lot of our European efforts. We certainly weren't able to travel, do events, et cetera, like we formerly had. But in the meantime, Kannaway has really improved and upgraded their certificates of analysis that we're able to now show our extraction methods allow for much more of the natural entourage botanicals normally found in the hemp and cannabis plant to then be transferred into our end products. And certainly I think the current European products have the highest level of certificates of analysis I've seen any product anywhere around the globe. Very, very excited about products coming out of our European partners. Next slide, please. Kannaway is remaining as a leader in the European CBD market. Having been on the European markets for over 6 years, we continue to lead the industry by working closely with the European Industrial Hemp Association to develop clear regulations for CBD, of course, as a novel food. And recently, further progress has been made as the hemp leaf extract has now been declared to be a traditional food within the European community. So Yanni, great work with the European Industrial Hemp Association. Certainly hats off to you. Next slide, please. Now in the US, we still are leaders in the CBD industry. Certainly we've created this amazing industry within our United States, and certainly through the Agricultural Improvement Act of 2018, we've seen some great strides and many positive effects coming from this. Certainly, Kannaway has participated in numerous clinical studies showing the safety of botanically produced hemp-derived CBD. Next slide, please. Our Pure Gold product with non-detectable amounts of THC has been listed in the PDR, the Physician's Desk Reference, which is now better known as the Prescriber's Digital Reference. So here a doctor can research our product, its manufacturing characteristics, as well as other attributes, things such as absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion, and also look at other factors such as our chemistry, manufacturing, and control processes. So here's the link if anyone's so interested to follow our PDR listing of Pure Gold. Next slide, please. The Pure Gold 1000 products represents 1,000 milligrams of CBD mixed with an MCT, a medium chain triglyceride or coconut oil. Each serving provides 33 milligrams of CBD to support the human body's endogenous cannabinoid system. And of course, 2 servings a day would provide 66 milligrams, which then represents about 1 milligram per kilogram of body weight for an average adult. And these are considered supplementary serving portions to best maintain overall levels of health and wellness. And just like vitamin C, when one is a cold or a flu, one might double or triple up on their vitamin C intake. And of course, many people with extenuating health circumstances will double or triple up on their CBD, many taking as much as 150 milligrams per day. Our next slide, please. And many people in the European community have asked us, is THC necessary to activate CBD? And the answer here is a sound no. There are many individuals in the cannabis industry, of course, who allege that THC is necessary to activate CBD, and certainly there is a synergistic effect, but THC is not necessary in order to achieve great health benefits of CBD. In fact, in the US, and now in the European community, a pharmaceutical version of CBD, fully without THC, has been approved. And this is as an epilepsy drug, and certainly many young children are seeing great reductions in their epileptic seizures episodes because of taking a CBD-based medicine that's fully THC-free. Now, in Mexico and Brazil, we also sell a fully THC-free product, and certainly we're seeing great benefit with not only the epilepsy children, but also autism, ADD, ADHD, et cetera. So certainly CBD is a wonder drug in many ways just on its own, and certainly we're quite excited to have a dietary supplement form of this product available for people to improve their overall levels of health and wellness. Next slide, please. CBD will not get you high, but it will show a tremendous number of health benefits. And research from the Valid Care Group in the United States shows that the anti-inflammatory benefits of CBD could lead to a potential reduction in the prevalence of type 2 diabetes in older individuals. So some great information from some of the recent study and research done in the US. Our next slide, please. And of course, over time, new cannabinoids have been coming into the mix, and certainly we want to, of course, being leaders in the industry, provide some of these new cannabinoids to individuals around the globe. So CBG, cannabigerol, is one that now the agricultural community has been able to grow a high enough concentration CBG within a hemp crop for us to be able to provide products here, as well as CBN, cannabinol. CBG, first, cannabigerol, is known as a mood enhancer, as it acts more directly on serotonin receptors in the brain. These are neurotransmitters which govern our mood, as well as CBG contains significant antibacterial effects. So certainly a great new cannabinoid to bring into our fold. And CBN is now known as the sleepy cannabinoid, as it is the most relaxing and sedating of all cannabinoids. And research by the US-based Radical Science Group shows that 50 milligrams of CBN taken in evenings can significantly improve sleep disturbance in those individuals so affected with this condition. Research from the Salk Institute here locally in San Diego shows that CBN also protects the mitochondria of our brain cells from degradation, even as we age. So a highly beneficial new cannabinoid to have in our product lineup for potential anti-aging purposes. Next slide, please. Now, a great concept was introduced to the world in 2004 by a conventionally trained neurologist, Dr. Ethan Russo, and his first paper on clinical endocannabinoid deficiency. Dr. Russo was seeing many patients with some relatively new medical conditions, things at the time such as fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, digestive disturbances, migraine headaches. And with extensive blood work, he basically found that all these patients were very deficient in their own internal cannabinoid levels. And of course, once he got his patients on a more cannabinoid-rich dietary intake, all of a sudden, many of these individuals overcame health challenges, moved to a much higher level of health and wellness. Our next slide, please. And over time, we've seen today more and more evidence of clinical endocannabinoid deficiency relating to other disease conditions, things such as epilepsy, autism, attention deficit disorders, anxiousness, stress and burnout, especially in frontline healthcare workers, early onset of Alzheimer's dementia, and conditions relating to inflammation, including metabolic syndrome, all now fit in this category of clinical endocannabinoid deficiency. So, of course, we can see many people who start to take these cannabinoids, add them to their diets, are really seeing significant improvements in their overall levels of health and wellness. Next slide, please. So while we're working to establish a recommended daily intake portion for CBD, I certainly encourage everyone on this Zoom to take at least 50 milligrams CBD to support your internal endogenous cannabinoid system. This should help you to attain high levels of health and wellness, high levels of immune support, and certainly we look forward to much more with you in the near future. Thank you so very much for your time today. It's been just great to be part of the Kannaway European community, and certainly look forward to much more interaction and coming over and visit with everyone in person like we used to do a few years ago with Kannaway. Thank you so much, Gilles and group, for having me on today. It's been a great pleasure.